So I just finished reading the first omnibus for Shaman King. Let's talk about it. Hey, how's it going guys? Blue Tempest here and welcome back to another video. Alright, so if you guys can tell from the title of today's video, this is the first installment of a series that I'm going to be doing on my channel titled The 3-Volume Rule. So if you guys don't know what the 3-volume rule is, it's basically a term in the manga community that means if you're not 100% hooked on a series by the end of the 3rd volume, then you should probably drop it. Now, when thinking about how to do reviews on my channel, I knew I wanted to do something a little bit different. A lot of manga tubers do volume 1 reviews, and while there's nothing wrong with that, personally, I have experienced some volume 1s where I'm just not 100% sold on by the end of them. So I am a pretty firm believer in the 3-volume rule, because while there are some series that I am 100% hooked on from the first chapter alone, some of my favorite series actually didn't hook me until partway through volume 2 or volume 3. So when I knew I wanted to do this series on my channel, I knew that the first installment had to be about Shaman King. Now, if you guys don't know about Shaman King, this is a battle shonen manga that started in the late 90s and went on until about the mid 2000s or so. And it was originally part of the Shonen Jump lineup. And while it did have a pretty successful anime adaptation back in the day, that adaptation wasn't 100% accurate within the manga. The series kind of fell off a bit, at least in the US, but because of its cult following and Kodansha gaining the rights to Shaman King, we see it return again in 2021 with this brand new omnibus release. So this omnibus contains the first 3 volumes of Shaman King, which is a perfect setup for my series, and it also comes alongside a brand new anime adaptation, which I am super excited about, even though it's stuck in Netflix jail right now in the US. But yeah, I have heard a lot of good things about this series, and being a fan of battle shonen series myself, I knew I had to pick this up. So to get into my thoughts on Shaman King, right off the bat, the first thing I noticed was obviously the art. Now, I was a little caught off guard by just how cartoony the artwork felt. And yeah, throughout the entire omnibus, you see a lot of very exaggerated, humorous, cartoon-like personality within the artwork. But that's not to say that the artwork is bad. You do get used to it. And yeah, the artwork is actually really, really well done. So getting into the first volume, I was also kind of surprised by how this story is actually told through the eyes of a character named Manta. Now, this character in the front cover is Yo Asakura, which I assumed was like the sole main character of this story. But no, there's this other character named Manta who's basically a normal kid who is kind of watching all of this play out. And while Yo Asakura is the character that's in the battles and fighting and everything, Manta is kind of just there on the sidelines along for the ride. So with this kind of dynamic, it kind of does give me vibes of like a Saturday morning cartoon, especially in the first volume, with each chapter being almost episodic in a way, just different scenarios that Manta and Yo Asakura get into. And what's really cool is that it does set up the whole power system and some of the characters as well. Now, because of the nature of this first volume and how it's set up, it does start off a little slow, but the overall concept of the story is actually really intriguing. So like I said before, it follows Manta, and he meets this character, Yo, and Yo is basically a shaman. So what that means is that he can communicate with spirits and kind of have them inhabit his body And so in the first volume, we meet the spirit of a legendary samurai, and basically he ends up taking over Yo's body and using his samurai skills. But since he is a ghost, he doesn't have a physical form, so he uses Yo's body to fight. So I think this is a pretty interesting dynamic, and I did not expect them to go super in-depth with the personalities and characteristics of these spirits, but they do. But if I just had this volume 1 to read, I don't know how hooked I would actually be, because it is kind of slow, and while the concept of everything is intriguing enough for me to keep reading, also not really a lot happens, especially with the character of Manta. I was kind of worried at first that he was gonna be kind of a pointless character and not really do anything in the story, but getting into volume 2, we kind of see that he's actually not that pointless, and there is a reason for him to be in the story. So yeah, basically volume 2, I actually did start enjoying it a lot more. We get into a pretty long battle in volume 2 that kind of gets you in the feel of how the action is going to be played out in this series, which is fantastic. We also get to meet some of the other side characters, such as Anna, who seems to be kind of like the main love interest for Yo in a way, but not really at the same time. And then we meet some of the what I assume are antagonists with the character of Ren. And then we get a little bit of a tease as to what the overarching storyline is pretty much gonna be about, and that is this kind of battle of shamans all over the world competing to become the next Shaman King. But like I said before, volume 2 is pretty much almost entirely taken up by a battle between Yo and Ren's big sister. And yeah, it's a great action sequence where you get some character development as well. And then moving into volume 3, we get into what seems to be an even bigger and better action sequence with Yo against a spirit that possessed a character that we had seen in volume 1 named Ryu. And Ryu as a character is pretty entertaining, although kind of stereotypical comic relief type of character, but he does get some development, which is pretty nice. And it seems like by the end of volume 3, he is gonna end up being a character that we will see more of in subsequent volumes. So at the end of volume 3, it kind of leaves off on a bit of a cliffhanger, not too crazy, but it kind of sets up what the main plot line of this whole series is gonna be, and that is the battle to become the Shaman King, which honestly is super hype. So yeah, my thoughts on the first omnibus of Shaman King were pretty positive. While it wasn't anything completely out of the ordinary that I haven't seen in anime or read in manga before, I do think that this is a very well done series, and I'm so happy that it's getting a second wind with this new omnibus release by Kodansha. So with that, I do think that Shaman King is a perfect example of the 3-volume rule, because if it was in single volumes, I don't know how I would have felt about the first volume of the series. I would have thought it was just okay, but once I got into the second and third volumes, it started to ramp up the action and the characters and everything to where now I am absolutely hyped for the second omnibus of the series to come out. So should you give this omnibus a read? I would say yes. Definitely pick this up if you are a fan of battle shonen manga. Like I said, you shouldn't expect anything too out of the ordinary, but from what I've heard, Shaman King is a very special manga that does get better as it goes along. So I'm excited to see what happens in the series. So that pretty much does it for this first installment of the 3-volume rule. I hope you guys enjoyed this review and this concept for reviews for my channel. Let me know down in the comments what I should do a 3-volume rule video for in the future. And if you guys don't already follow me on social media, I do have a TikTok, an Instagram, and a Twitter that you can find the links for in the description. Please follow me on there. I would greatly appreciate that. And don't forget to give this video a like and to subscribe to my channel for more manga content. And thanks again for watching this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.